we have on the show ICC-accredited lawyer and executive director for Center for International Law, Attorney Gilbert Andres. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Gretchen, and good morning also to all your viewers.
We had you at the start of the week having all of these questions about the deferment of the proceedings. But now, is it clear to you what is at stake here and your reaction to the defense request for an indefinite adjournment because of the fitness to stand trial?
Well, actually, it's fortunate that the pretrial chamber actually denied that prayer for an indefinite adjournment because, in fact, the pretrial chamber only granted a limited period for the postponement in order to determine Mr. Duterte's fitness for trial.
So, in a sense, that is a positive development for prosecution.
Yes, because, in fact, Gretchen, the pretrial chamber actually, in a sense, granted the prosecutor's request only for a limited time to determine the fitness of Mr. Duterte. Because remember, if there's an allegation of fitness to stand trial, it's actually a factual allegation. So there should be sufficient medical records, medical examination. In fact, the prosecution wants its own prosecutor expert in order to determine Mr. Duterte's fitness or health.
Okay, babasahin ko lang itong nakasulat dito sa sa letter ng defense as to the condition of the former president. Sabi niya, the defense received a neuropsychological evaluation performed by an anonymous expert appointed by the equally anonymous ICC-DC medical officer, and the report corroborated preliminary findings noting a decline in memory, executive functioning, visual constructive abilities, and raising the issue of legal competency as a bar to proceeding with a hearing on the confirmation of charges. And the degree of cognitive decline renders him unfit to stand trial, and judicial accommodations are unlikely to restore functional capacity sufficient for full trial participation, and Mr. D is currently unable to meaningfully participate in the legal proceedings against him. What was on your mind when you saw all of this?
Well, actually, Gretchen, if you look at fitness to stand trial, it's actually a legal term. That's why the prosecution, in its response to the defense, actually stated that the expert, the medical expert, should not only be an expert in the medical field. He or she should also be an expert on legal matters, on the legal proceedings, what it takes to actually stand the rigor of trial. That's why the prosecution also wants its own expert to actually determine the health of Mr. Duterte vis-a-vis the rigors of standing trial. So these are only factual allegations by the defense. There should also be a determination itself by a prosecution expert as well as an independent expert.
So kumbaga parang ang next step dito ay to do medical checks again. Kung we from a medical professional who has both the legal expertise and the medical expertise.
Yes, correct. Because
pero hindi
it's
ba
not
ito ay
only
provided din ng yung neuropsychologist po ba yun? The doctor provided by the ICC medical office, isn't he competent already?
Yes, but actually there are also some allegations, even by the prosecution, that there are some contradictions or there's just initial findings. So there's actually no 100% corroboration. That's why the prosecutor is asking also for its own medical expert to examine Mr. Duterte based also on the medical records that were provided to the defense. So this is really just what's called equality of arms. Whatever is provided for the defense should also be provided for the prosecution. In fact, we would like to argue that it should also be provided for the victims. And the victims should also, views and concerns should also be heard on this matter.
Okay. Pero in the history of the ICC, has this ever happened? That the suspect has, the main suspect here, the perpetrator, has a cognitive decline and is unable to stand trial. Paano po pagka ganun? Meron na po ba tayong jurisprudence?
Actually, based on the ICC jurisprudence, there has been allegations of not being fit to stand trial, but the chambers have not yet granted any adjournment or any postponement based on being unfit to stand trial. Wala pa pong nag-grant actually yung chambers ng ICC. So, this will be a test case, and we hope that there will really be a full determination on Mr. Duterte, because in fact that was the reason why the confirmation of charges was actually postponed. It's just a limited period so that the pretrial chamber can look at all of the documents and all of the experts, whether by the defense, independent, or by the prosecutor, so that it has all the necessary information to have a full determination.
In short, the all parties must agree on on a set of facts here that are before them, meaning yun nga po, no, yung medical records na tinatawag, before moving on to the possible outcomes. And speaking of which, if the court does find the former president unfit to stand trial, ibig ko sabihin na hindi siya makapag-participate because of the cognitive decline, hindi na niya maalala. Ano kaya pwedeng mangyari dito sa kaso? Pwede pa rin ba itong magtuloy?
Well, actually, nandun din sa decision ng pretrial chamber that all parties and participants should be ready in a moment's notice, because there's actually a collateral there that, if applicable, then we can say that it will continue on to the confirmation of charges. So this is really just a period to determine the health and fitness of Mr. Duterte. Although I'd also like to add that there was actually a dissenting opinion by one of the judges to say that fitness to stand trial is actually a determination by the trial chamber. But this is still pre-trial. So, in fact, based on the dissenting opinion, it says that this is not within the ambit of the pre-trial chamber. It's within the ambit of the trial chamber.
Kumbaga, kailangan mo na mag-proceed to the next stage, which is the actual trial, before this is even determined. Oo. Okay. Posible ba, for example, the former president does have cognitive decline. Is it possible that the people around him will be the ones to speak for him and defend him and state his case? Or kailangan siya mismo yung sumagot sa mga allegations?
Well, in fact, it's provided for in a confirmation of charges under Article 61 of the Rome Statute that the suspect, the person concerned, can even waive his or her presence in a confirmation of charges. So it's not really indispensable for the suspect to really attend a confirmation of charges, because such attendance can even be waived by that person.
Oo. Pero sa actual trial, when we get to that, what are the outcomes here? Possible outcomes?
If it's actual trial, it presupposes na-confirm na po yung charges, doon na po talaga yung determination whether fit for trial. If we just based it on the Rome Statute. Oo. And in fact, talagang ang rule talaga, ang general rule when it comes to trial is that there's no trial in absentia. The person who's actually the accused should be present in court.
And can his lawyer speak for him at this point, kahit na may cognitive decline?
Well, it's really a factual presumption. This is a hypothetical, Because us lawyers we're really dependent on the instructions of our clients. So there's really that fiduciary element, ano.
Mm.
So that's the reason why that's the argument of the defense. But the counter argument of the prosecution is that hindi naman talaga kailangan yung full, ano, na parang at its highest na talagang cognitive ano no abilities, ano, hindi naman talaga yung parang in the 20s o in the 50s ni Mr. Duterte. What's important is that he should be determined fit to stand trial. It's a cognitive ability to stand trial, o hindi naman to answer exams, ano, or to pass the bar exams.
Okay. And if he is determined unfit to stand trial, is an indefinite adjournment possible here for the defense getting that?
Well, it's I would
Eventually a
argue that it's not.
dismissal. Oh.
Okay, it's a hypothetical, so I will answer in a hypothetical way. Uh, hypothetically, it's not indefinite because there's a period also to determine kung continuing pa ba yung isang unfitness to stand trial ng isang tao. So, mayroon pong limited period din yan. Mayroon din pong regular period to check. Kasi pwede namang magbago yung condition ng isang tao. So, I would argue that it should not be indefinite. It should only be a limited.
Could this lead to eventual dismissal? Kung sakasakali po. Di talagang
Okay.
mapatotohanan na, oo.
Technically, wala pa yung dismissal, ano? Kasi in fact, if you look at Article 61, Paragraph 7 of the Rome Statute, which is the provision and the confirmation of charges, wala ngang word doon na dismiss, ano? The pretrial chamber can only confirm, it can only decline to confirm, or it can adjourn and then give back the document containing charges to the prosecution. Ganito kasi, Gretchen, walang dismissal kasi the prosecution, even if the pretrial chamber has declined to confirm, the prosecution can always refile based on newly discovered evidence. Kaya wala yung word na dismiss. It's really
Okay, so
decline.
is adjournment in the same category as table or archive? Parang impeachment o ano?
Okay. Hindi siya talaga archive kasi it's merong provision to adjourn and to give back to the prosecutor. Kasi yung prosecutor pwede pa siyang mag-further investigation Pwede pa siyang mag-amend or pwede pa siyang mag-change sa document containing charges. So marami pang pwedeng gawin ang prosecutor based on its prosecutorial discretion.
In the trial phase, they can still change all of that.
Ano pa to?
Or-
I'm
Oo.
still talking about the confirmation of charges.
Okay.
So, pre-trial
Okay.
pa rin ito.
So now the prosecution can adjust to this defense request and the way. Ano yung possible adjustments here from the prosecution side that you're seeing?
Actually, marami naman pwedeng gawin ng prosecution with this recent developments In fact, they're insisting na there should be a prosecutor expert witness to actually examine Mr. Duterte.
Okay, I guess beyond medical arguments, how do you think the legal team of the former president can use this to influence the pace and direction of the proceedings? Has this been used as a legal remedy before? And parang medyo this piece of news caught everybody off guard. Last night it came out, the document. Pwede bang parang legal strategy ito? Anong sa iyong palagay?
Well, it can be a legal strategy. I can say that. But well, for the views naman and concerns naman ng victims, we'd like to emphasize that the victims also have their right to justice and their right to the truth, which is a right of the victims under international law. So we also hope that the pretrial chamber will also consider the views and concerns of the victims who are an indispensable part of this process.
Is it possible for the court to be able to piece together the whole case, even without responses from the main suspect and just take from his former statements? Medyo makapal-kapal naman po yata yung mga nabanggit ng dating presidente.
Okay, two answers, Gretchen. In fact, the defense has already indicated that they're not presenting any evidence with respect to the confirmation of charges. And number two, actually in the confirmation of charges, the onus probandi, the burden of proof is really on the prosecutor. So it's really the prosecutor who will present the evidence to show that there are reasonable grounds or to believe that this should proceed to trial. Substantial grounds to believe so that this will proceed to trial. And in fact, wala nga talagang pinipresent na witness. It's very rare na talagang may in-person na witness. It's really more of witness affidavits, witness statements under oath na pinipresent ng prosecutor.
And with this development, do you remain confident that the trial will proceed?
Well, we really hope that first there will be a confirmation of charges, and really hope that the confirmation of charges will really proceed to trial proper. That's really the hope of the victims, because they have waited for justice with respect to this war on drugs.
Okay, and I guess that goes as far as the trial also is concerned. In the meantime, maraming salamat for helping us understand that latest development. Of course, the defense of the former president submitting a request for an indefinite adjournment again due to an argument of being unfit to stand trial. Maraming salamat. We have Attorney Gilbert Andres, ICC-accredited lawyer and Executive Director of Center for International Law, for joining us this morning.